Welcome to Dorks on Sports, a podcast about four dorks talking about sports. My name is Daniel, joined as always, Curtis Eastwood. How's it going over there, Curtis?
I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah, you look well. You're rocking your throwback jersey.
Throwback 12.
I like it
always.
Are you rocking that because this team looks a lot like those teams in the 90s?
No, I just decided that I need to I need to get back to my roots as a Seahawks.
Gotcha. Yeah.
This has been a fun, Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson era. But we're in rocky waters right now, so I just gotta dig deep.
I like it. You got to find the core of
the
that
reason why I was
spirit.
A Seahawks fan.
That's right.
Hard back in the 80s, and I suffered through it in the 90s, and then things got fun in the 2000s, and so I just need to dig deep. I'm digging deep.
I like it. No, looks good on you.
Yeah.
Allanah, how are you doing over there?
I'm doing all right. I had a rough night last night. For those who don't know, we were planning on recording right after the game, but I had a meeting right before this meeting, and I got torn to shreds. And
so the Seahawks are getting torn to shreds, and Allanah was getting torn to shreds.
Totally. And it
was not a great night last night.
It wasn't. And
no,
and we ended it with an episode and a half of We're Here, and I wept, and that was good for the soul.
So then you got your catharsis.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, good. All right. Well, and you're here now.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about some Seahawks and get some catharsis ourselves. Millie, how are you doing over there?
And there, thanks.
Yeah, good. How's the fantasy team?
I was just gonna say it finally happened. Miracle miracles.
Mm-hmm.
I finally won a game in my Folger fantasy league. So I think I'm still in 12th place, but the streak has ended. The 8-game losing streak has ended for me. So that's something I've got on the Seahawks. Oh no. And of course my dominating dynasty team won again. So, I still only lost one game all season, which means I am better than I think all leagues in the NFL.
Is your dynasty, is that the one? Do you have Pocket Lockett?
I do not. I have Pocket in my Folger league, and I was really torn about benching him because I have here and there. Usually I'm right. And I had Terry McLaurin as well. And out of love and the fact I'm in 12th position, I was just like, I can't do it. Terry's on the bench. Lockett's in.
He had okay fantasy numbers, right?
What's that?
He had okay fantasy numbers.
No, I could have strong ones.
Yeah. He got what? He had a touchdown and around 100 yards. He must have, right?
He had 3 catches for 96 yards, I think.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Not that I'm keeping
fantasy numbers.
But
I'm double checking all of this, of course. But Lockett's it better. So
Lockett's one of the only ones doing some great work on that team still.
Well, I feel like, and then he got some flack about what he said last week. It was like he was breaking ranks or something, saying, we're in a little trouble.
He just doesn't have any filter.
Listen, he was saying what we can all see. I mean,
right.
He's just cutting loose with the truth. It was.
Well, so let's get into this because here's the Hawks
throwing the whole coaching staff under the bus.
Boy. So Seahawks are on a losing skid. Russell Wilson maybe came back a little too early. He started looking like he was making the kinds of throws Russell was making, and maybe this was going to be the game he could kind of turn around and be that Russell Wilson we've come to know and love and rely on. And he wasn't. He's making the same mistakes. Here's the thing. I don't know. I don't think that finger is the issue because he's making some of those throws that he can normally make. He can still fire it downtown. He can still fire it with authority. The problem is he's making bad decisions. And he's uncharacteristically missing wide open targets. And that may be the finger, or I don't know, has Russell Wilson lost his mojo? I mean, Curtis, what do you think?
My mantra over the past week has been something that I heard Mark Schlereth say on local sports radio 710 a week ago. When asked about the situation in Seattle, and I think he was trying to sort of subtly kind of bring up the coaching. And he was saying, that from what he's heard league-wide through a lot of the top-end coaches that he's talked with, but there's a saying out there that great coaching is about putting players in position to not fail.
Yeah.
And so when I look at Russell Wilson, and I've been a huge fan of his ever since his rookie year, and actually dating back to his senior year in Wisconsin, because he was fun to watch in college. He is probably the preeminent play action passer in the league. But if you don't have a run game, you can't play action pass.
Right.
And the only other thing that I can say confidently that he does probably tops of the league is throw on the run and go up tempo. So I think a question has to be asked. And with what the deal is with Russell Wilson, are they asking him to do the things that he does best as a player to help this team win? And I think that's a very fair question to ask.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely a fair question to ask.
And having him, and a perfect example of this is in this game in Washington, running Alec Collins up the middle. When you've got your backup center playing left guard and your starting center isn't very good, and neither one of them are very good players, and you're going against probably the most single dominant defensive tackle rotation in the league, and they snuff out the run play up the middle, and then they run it again, and all of a sudden it's like
not even
third and 10, and they have Russell in the pocket against these just ferocious interior pass rushers that are stunting, and they're just ragdolling his offensive linemen. And he goes wild on an outside pass, and he's not accurate with it. So you can blame Russ for not being accurate, but you can also sort of dig deeper, and you can ask the question, was Russ put in the best position to win on 3rd and long on that particular play?
Right.
Was the play calling helping him? So I think there's definitely issues with Russ. This is not the same magical Russell Wilson that we're all used to seeing, that we've watched for the last 10 years. But is he being helped by the coaches?
I think that's a fair question to ask. Allanah, would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. I think that the play calling whatever the miscommunication is between Waldron and Carroll, and I think that there is some miscommunication, and I think that it is probably also related to the number of coaches that Pete keeps on staff. I agree with what Curtis said last week. There are too many cooks in the kitchen. The only thing that we're seeing that Russ does well, the only thing we're seeing him do is the deep ball. And it's almost like they think that that's the way out, is by getting Russ to throw those moonshots, that he will come back to normal. And those moonshots, some of the prettiest parts of football is watching Russell throw just into the stratosphere, have it come down into baby Pocket Lockett's arms, where he can recite a poem to the football and run to the end zone. That's the dream football for me. But he's absolutely right. There's no play action because we lost Carson for the season, and Collins is doing what he can, but Collins is, I guess, a little spent, and they're trying to run against defenses that know we're going to run and know where we're going to run. Yeah, they're not getting them out. Go ahead.
Yeah, with the run game, it's not only are we just kind of running it up to middle, but they're these uninspired play calls. we've seen from Waldron, I mean, we saw this on the Rams, but we've seen this on the Seahawks. We've seen these like really cool jet sweeps and the kinds of things that they can do to manufacture some space to get these running backs to run. And when Alex Collins gets something like that, he can rip it off for 18 yards. But where was that last week?
Right.
And then it's baffling.
It shows up in wrinkles. It shows up in wrinkles whenever Russ is allowed, is afforded to go up tempo and hurry up mode. Russ can make the audibles. That he did it. It happened last night in the first half.
At the end of the game,
You know, it's like it's just. I feel like it's when they're trying to play a slow, methodical sort of half court style of offense is when it's just like the defenses can just tee off on that.
And we talked for 10 years about how Russell was best as a backyard football player, right? Like, or a playground player.
Yeah.
And improvising, getting out of tackles or throwing on the run, like you said, Curtis. And we're not seeing that. They're not giving him that opportunity to improvise because we're faced with 3rd and 14s all the time. And Millie, go ahead.
Well, there's a couple things that I think I'm disagreeing. Sometimes it's hard to tell.
Let's hear it.
And one of them is I'm not seeing any slow, methodical football happening. I'm seeing us, in my mind, trying to do almost that 2-minute offense because he's so good at it right away. And as a result, our defense is on the field the entire game because it's not working. So it's just all these 3 and outs, or maybe we get a first down, but we're out on the next one. And because it's being done at this quick pace, we're not eating any of the clock. We're not getting any rest to a defense that is, I think at this point, playing better than expectations after how they looked in the first part of the season. And so while I respect that, it used to seem like, when we got into that 2-minute drill mindset, it was just see you at the other end of the field, baby. But that's not happening this season. And so we're just forcing things left and right. And it's not going anywhere. And then we're off the field. And then back comes the defense. And the fourth quarter of every game, that defense is so gassed. It doesn't matter what they did or how well they did or didn't do it. They got nothing left in the tank.
They're playing like 80. They're playing like 80 plays a game. It's absurd.
It's stupid.
There's no complimentary football.
They played so remarkably yesterday. That defense was outstanding. They gave up 17 points on 80 plays. That is amazing.
It's like the same thing they did to Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers.
Exactly.
They look great. And it's really frustrating because, in the first part of the season, it's not like the offense was dominant like it was the first part of last season, but they were still averaging like 26 points a game or something like that. Like that's a respectable, number. But
I still got a lot of issues with the defense, to be perfectly honest.
There's still some holes in the zone and things like that.
And they're dropping D linemen into coverage.
And they're dropping D linemen.
It's the dumbest. They just need to throw that out of the whole scheme. It's dumb. Dropping Brian Monet 10 yards deep, and he's trying to Eddie, third string quarterback, is going to look at that and going like, oh, I know I'm going with the ball now.
Yeah. Well, before we move on, I just want to give a shout out to the best play of the game, which was Rasheem Green blocking that punt and taking it all the way down for 2 points. Number one, that's just one of the rarest plays in
the first
football.
Time that's ever happened, where he blocked it, recovered it, and returned it.
I loved it. And then seeing a big man do it,
I wanted to give a shout out to
else about the loss was that play goes in a losing effort. That stinks.
Yeah.
Like,
and that stupid
onside
kick penalty. That would have been a great story if he had just lined up 3 inches over the hash, and then we would have recovered it and maybe got that field goal. But okay, that's just kind of the snake bit season the Seahawks have been having. And now we have to play the San Francisco 49ers next week.
And I have to say, I think that I know that a lot of people are calling for Carroll to go, for Schneider to go, for Wilson to go. I don't understand why we're not looking at it through the lens of good teams have bad seasons. I feel like it's, even though we don't have an identity on offense, we don't have an identity on defense, we're a good special teams team. We still very well could be 8-3. Like the games that we lost because of circumstance and maybe some poor planning in specific situations, but not outright bad planning. When you have a defense on the field for 3 consecutive games for over 70 plays where the time of possession is the other team is dominating the time of possession, and we're holding teams to 15, 17, 20 points, like that's desperation, but it's also potentially a recipe for success. We could have won that game last night. We could have won last week against Arizona. There are a number of games that we've just lost based on circumstance. So when we're out here then at the same time going, get rid of Pete Carroll, he's lost it, it's over, or get rid of John Schneider, he's lost it, it's over. I find that just like so short-sighted and like dismissive of the work they can do. And maybe there's room for rearrangement. Maybe we call the coaching staff so that it's down to, a couple of primary voices.
And get rid of Ken Norton Jr.
Because he's bad. But I just think that I have this problem with this knee-jerk reaction of like, well, it's over. I think it's worth examining, but this could be the one bad season. Why do we automatically assume that because we're having one bad season, it's the end of everything?
I think there's been a lot of stuff bubbling under the surface, and this whole off season, I don't even know how to call it, drama between the quarterback and the organization, and calling out Pete Carroll, and the front office decision making with how to put together the offensive line. It just seems, I think, in the minds of a lot of not just knee-jerk fans, but analytical football journalists that sort of think that this is probably going to come to the end, that at the end of this season there's a strong likelihood that the power trio of those individuals is going to break up in some form or another. And I think people are bracing for it, and I think it's I can understand how it's frustrating that this is like this going to be this continual thing, but I just don't see it going away. It's either going to, it's just going to be, it's going to be there.
The rush to judgment, yelling for people's heads and all of that does go back to the off season when that was all anyone was talking about. So I think people came into this season kind of at a 7, and we're ready, if anyone was failing, to just point the finger and say, well, this has to change. Because I'm with you, Allanah, that lots of teams have an off season, and we have been so fortunate in having the luck go our way when we needed it to, and sneaking into playoffs if we had to, and just always finding ourselves there. And that's not happening this year. And I think you're right. There's a lot of games where it's like one small thing is the difference between the win and the loss. But I also look at another team like the Lions, where, the poor Lions, right? But if you look at it, almost all of their games are lost by 1 score. They're lost in the 4th quarter. I mean, talk about just every game being a heartbreaker when you're all the way down there. So there is a certain amount of like, are we really complaining about this team? Like, it needs work, but I'm not sure we should blow it up.
Well, I don't know. And there's still a lot of season left to play, even though the Seahawks are all but out of playoff contention. I think that the coaching and the players still have a lot to play for their careers.
Ask me next week and I'll tell you blow it up. I mean, that's the other part is every week I feel differently.
If Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers come in and whoop up on the Seahawks, Millie, do you have a score for us? Do you have a prediction?
Oh, goodness gracious. Is Garoppolo the quarterback? I don't even know who the quarterback is with that team sometimes.
I don't think that team knows, to be quite honest.
When does that
and that's one thing that the Seahawks have over the 49ers. So we know who our quarterback is.
Oh gosh, what do I think? Oh, I think we're probably going to get trounced by a lot. I'm going to go 27-13 49ers.
Ooh, all right. Millie, she's jumping off the bandwagon. Curtis, what do you got?
$35.
Whoa.
35-13 49ers. They're
The
gonna
defense is not the problem.
They're gonna roll on
Curtis.
this team.
Curtis.
They're better in the trenches. I keep telling you, people.
I know, but
these
Curtis.
teams are better than Seattle in the trenches.
they're
That
better than
team
Seattle
is going
in
to
the
come
trenches, but they're not
into
going
the
to come in.
field, and they are going to roll on a limping Seattle Seahawks team that doesn't even know what they are offensively. They don't even know what they are offensively.
The Seahawks have stolen his heart and they set it on fire.
If I was Jody Allen, I would call Pete Carroll's offense and I would say, do not fucking start Russell Wilson. You put Geno Smith into that game because I do not want my star fucking quarterback to get killed.
I don't think Russ would take too kindly to that.
Yeah.
By the way, Russell Wilson, did anybody watch his post game presser?
I didn't even think there was one. Was there?
Yeah, there was. It looked like, so apparently after the game, he and Bobby Wagner, I think it was, maybe it was Tyler Lockett, I can't remember now, had a real heart-to-heart with the team. Mm-hmm. And, a real leadership moment and, like talking to the team. And it looked at me like his eyes were kind of puffy. They were a little wet. I think Russell Wilson, I think he got a little emotional in that locker room. I think he really does love that team.
He does. Yeah,
I think he does. Yeah,
I don't buy this narrative that Russell Wilson wants to leave Seattle.
No, I don't.
I'll be straight up with that. I'm not buying this whole take that Russell Wilson is like, nearing 2 feet out the door.
Yeah. I will say I've never seen Russell Wilson or Pete Carroll this exhausted. Mm-hmm. Like usually you can see in both of them, like there's that fight, like they still believe that there's a chance. I see that fight is gone from both of them. Like they're so sad.
Yeah, the hubris caught up to him and bit him in the ass like a great white shark.
Before the game on like the Monday night countdown, they were doing an interview with him and they asked him about his relationship with Pete Carroll and if it had changed or, there's reports, blah, blah, blah. And of course, he was like, no, like, we're good. We're friends. Like, he, saying all these positive things, but the footage they were showing, and I'm assuming this was on purpose, but it was like the two of them on the sideline, but they're not talking to each other and they're about 6 feet apart, staring straight ahead. And I'm like, are you trying to like juxtapose this moment with what he's saying? Because usually they show them, talking together, their heads together, chatting away, especially for when he was on the sideline and couldn't play. There's all kinds of footage that you could use.
I mean, just Allanah, I'm sorry to say it, but the Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson divorce narrative is like, it is on crack fucking cocaine right now. And it is not gonna,
let's not use that terminology though. Like it's on hyperdrive. That's fine.
It's
addiction.
Ballistic.
Yeah. Thank you.
I need Alannah's prediction for the 40.
Yeah, so Curtis has the
I mean,
Seahawks
like,
losing by 3 touchdowns. What do you got?
I think it's going to be 18-12 San Francisco. I don't think that San Francisco offense is like world beaters. I think that I agree that they're better in the trenches. I think that San Francisco is going to win. I think it's going to come down to this nonsense, crazy, wild ending, or ludicrous ending like we just had. There are no normal Seattle Seahawks games. Last night was a definitive example of that. But that defense has not given up 35 points. I'm sorry. They just had, games against Green Bay, Arizona, who are two premier offenses who have good linemen. And
Arizona's smoking people, though, or San Francisco's smoking people lately, though. They're like,
yeah, but they're not going to give up 35.
We'll see. We'll see.
So what's your prediction then, Allanah? You're saying
I'm going with a weird ass score. It's 18-12.
It fits. The Seahawks only play weird ass games.
Yeah.
And what they've got like the record for
Origami
getting the most ridiculous scores.
Yeah.
Scorigami, like getting the first, the Scorigami getting the first scores ever in like 100 years.
Yeah.
I don't know. I also think this is going to be like a mid-scoring game. Despite what we have seen from this team the past few weeks, this isn't the Lions. This isn't the Texans. This isn't the Jaguars. This is still a decent team. It's got way too much talent. I have to believe that they're going to win. I think it's going to be, I'm going to say 20 to 18.
I'm not that. We add a touchdown to my score, and it's the same score.
So I just
2 point.
I just want to point out that in the last 3 games, San Francisco has averaged 33 points a game. And yes, one of those teams was against Jacksonville. So you can take that one out. But they scored 34 against a Vikings team that has a pretty good defense, and they scored 30 points against the Rams, who have a pretty good defense.
Yeah, but you know what those teams don't have? The X factor that the Seahawks do. We are 49ers kryptonite.
Yeah.
And this is, I choose to believe. Sometimes sports just comes down to energy and chemistry.
And vibe, baby.
Yeah. I forget analytics. I don't give me the scores and the averages. I'm pure vibes, baby. I'm just gonna I'm feeling the energy in sports. That's where
we're talking about vibes. You know what I want to talk about, Daniel?
What's that?
I want to talk about Robbie Ray's pants. Did you see that?
He's got his own Twitter.
It's got his own Twitter, and they're trying to decide if it should continue as a Robbie Ray fan site because they're all Blue Jays fans since he's coming to Seattle. And it's like, please keep it going.
I like it. So, the Mariners made 2 pretty fun moves. So they're betting on Robbie Ray being their ace. I think that's a good bet. I think he's really he's had flashes before. Of course, he won the Cy Young, and I think he's kind of figured it out. Not only that, but Safeco is, that's the pitcher's stadium. Especially for a guy like Robbie Ray, who can occasionally give one up for a hard hit. Adam Frazier coming in, he's a good bat and kind of solving the second base issue. The Mariners are going for it. Those 2 moves, that tells me that they're going all in on World Series. They believe in this team. I don't think they're done.
No, I mean, they are done for a while now because of the lockout.
Right.
But they're premier in the talks with Chris Bryant. Too.
Dipoto said that he didn't say who the player was, but he said they had a good offer on the table for a premier player that just went to another team.
It was Baez.
Was it Baez?
Yeah, because they were right in line in the conversations with Baez, and they are with Bryant. And then so if they pick up Bryant and another top line, A minus pitcher, like we're gonna have a killer rotation.
Yeah. Agreed. I think like there are two pieces I think that Mariners team needs to really just put them over the top. It's that other sort of like ace pitcher. We need like another just like a pitcher, and maybe a big bat, like a big bat DH
like
who can just
Bryant.
just like smoke it.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's a third baseman too, by the way.
Oh yeah, totally. Which is another position of need.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. That got me really excited.
Now, the only thing I fear is that the season's going to get wiped out. We build up all this excitement, I feel like the last time we had a really exciting opportunity with the Mariners of this caliber, I think part of the season that got wiped out too, back in the 90s. But yeah, it's a real disappointing perspective or possibility that we might not get to see what the Mariners put together for 2022.
That would just kind of be the most Seattle sports thing to happen to this city and the Mariners.
But I choose Millie, how do you feel?
I'm super excited for the Mariners next season.
I am too.
I have to say with most of my sports teams, I am really bad at paying attention in the off season.
Okay.
So when I heard about this, I did get really excited because it's what we talked about, right? I mean, he's a Cy Young winner. It's exciting. I'm stoked. But I always have to just temper everything with the Mariners because I really want it to happen. I just want it to be. And so I'm just looking forward to it happening. Hopefully it all, happens. And that's really all I have to say about the Mariners. Go M's.
Yeah, go M's. It's exciting time. And there's another Seattle sports team that's been doing okay. Like they went on a 6-game skid. It's our expansion team, the Kraken. They crawled out of last place in their division. So, that's good.
Yeah.
But the way they're doing it, I think, is really fun. So, they went on a 6-game skid. And then they ended up winning. They've now won 4 of their last 5, and they beat like 3 of the best teams in the NHL. And here's what makes me really excited about this is that in the beginning of the season, they were clearly an expansion team. They're trying the line chemistries. No, but this team hasn't played with each other at all. And I think they're really starting to figure it out. I think they're finally starting to sort of solidify their line combinations that are working really well. The goaltending, which hasn't been spectacular. In fact, it's kind of been near the worst in the league in the last 5 games have started coming on strong. Grubauer is playing a lot like the Grubauer, we brought him in for. Drieger played an incredible game against his former team, the Carolina Panthers, that we whooped on 4-1. That was really fun.
How's the Lazar looking?
What's that?
How's the Lazar looking?
I haven't been paying attention. The players that I've really been paying attention to is Eberle, who's like actually a 10th in the league in goals made, which is really cool. He was the one who got the hat trick, 3 weeks ago. Yanni Gord, the hot shot center, has really started coming on. Schwartzy has been amazing. He hasn't had many goals, but he's got stupid 12 assists or 15 assists or something like that. And then Brandon Tanev, who is sort of like becoming the expansion team Kraken folk hero, just that the favorite player you can rally behind because he's weird and quirky and wears his heart on his sleeve.
He is delightful.
He is delightful. He's got but when we in the LOB days, the Seahawks were chock full of characters like Brandon Tanev with, you know, Richard Sherman and Michael Bennett and these guys who are unapologetically themselves. That's who Brandon Tanev is. And on top of that, he's been scoring some goals and he's a big hitter, which is always really fun to watch in hockey. He's a dude who's just will, you know, go after somebody on the boards.
So when you go during
the
go ahead.
I would just say it real quick. I love during the expansion draft when they took Tanev, he showed up and the announcers were like, "You're gonna love this guy, Seattle. He just plays with his heart on his sleeve and he's balls out every game or pucks out every game." And that is proven true. Go ahead, Millie.
It has proven true.
Oh, so at the game, so I went to the game November 17th against the Blackhawks, and one of the fun things they do, you know, they always do this, the camera on the crowd, and there's a Tanev cam, and so when they focus in on you, everybody does the big eyes and the face, and they all try to like give their best Tanev.
Oh, his headshot, he looks like he just saw a ghost.
Yeah. So everybody like tries to match it. Which is fun. So that's a thing. And that was I already liked him because he's so our kind of person here in Seattle.
Totally. And he's got the long hair and the whole grunge thing.
But it was the end of a period and he's coming off and, you know, we're losing bad. They didn't score until the third.
That was a rough game.
And the camera, you know, it wasn't like on him. It was on all the folks leaving as they're coming off the ice, and his facial expressions. He's just as somebody who has a face that's constantly
emoting.
Yes, emoting. Thank you. I get it, but like, I realize not everyone could visually see what I'm doing. So he did one of those, you know, he blew out the air and he's shaking his head like I don't know what just happened. So he was just like. Like just as he's walking off the ice and down the hall, you know, I was just like, oh yeah, we would be friends.
100%. Yeah, he's Seattle. Yeah, Brandon Tanev is very much a Seattle personality. I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to come next with this Kraken team. It's nothing but going up for them, and you know, they're actually not that far back from like wild card contention.
No,
still so early in the season. So yeah, it'll be fun. I like them. Go Kraken.
Go Kraken.
Why don't we dork out a bit? I watched the first 2 episodes of Hawkeye, which I was really looking forward to. Anybody else? Curtis?
I've seen the first one. I haven't seen
the first one.
second
Alana, I know you saw
spoilers on the second one.
The episodes. Millie?
I've seen the first 2. Devin and I are
there
watching.
you go. So we all saw some Hawkeye. Alana, what'd you think? What'd you see?
Oh, you know, it's funny because I don't care about that character, and I don't care about Jeremy Renner. And the guy who created it doesn't have any real impact for me. So I kind of approached it with some trepidation, but I was charmed by it. I was totally charmed by it because it was a story that, you know, it's just your classic Christmas story. Christmas, like Die Hard. It's basically Die Hard, but in the Marvel world. The things that make it different from the other Marvel TV series offerings, the low-level stakes, the like crime happening in the streets, the utter comic bookness of the dialogue and the action sequences. I mean,
which I love.
I loved it. I thought it was great. It was such a style change from the other things they were doing. And these villains that are just hammy and big, and like we can get into whether or not Jack, the swordsman, is actually villainous or not. Like I have some predictions around that, but I don't want to spoil anything for Curtis.
No, don't spoil anything.
That's what I said. But like then Rogers the musical was.
Oh my God, that was so good.
It was just like, thank you so much. But I do want to give you a warning, Curtis. If you're playing the Little Drummer Boy challenge, you will. There will be a part where you'll have to mute the TV
Yeah, I like the Little Drummer Boy. I don't know why people hate that song.
because it's
I
terrible.
don't understand why they do that challenge every year. I
Because-
think it's stupid. It's
Because-
just that my Facebook feed is all about like, ow, I lost. I'm out. I was at a shopping mall. I don't know.
Well, if
It's
you
a
watch,
harbinger of Christmas. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I had been warned about that, and the Hubs and I watched it, and neither one of us actually noticed it happening. So
I missed it too.
It
Yeah.
pulled Beth out of a nap. She was like, are you fucking serious? You said it wasn't in the episode. And I was like, I didn't notice it the first time. I actually wasn't noticing it the second time until you called it out.
So I just want to
Yeah.
ask the question: where did the Little Drummer Boy challenge? Where did this come from? Where did this?
It was from some coders in like California 15 years ago. It's just like they
and
wanted
then
to.
of course with the internet it just goes on wild.
I don't hate the song either. I actually think it's just kind of fun to avoid it and not avoid it. And so when it happens, it's just, I don't know. It's for now, it's become part of my season is
Yeah.
like, when does it happen that I finally hear the Little Drummer Boy? And then once it happens, I go and I watch the Bing Crosby, David Bowie version.
David
'cause
Bowie.
it brings joy to my
What's
heart. So
what's the longest you've lasted?
I've made it. I made it one, I think 2
Did you?
years I made it.
Oh,
But
wow.
I guess I don't find myself in too many situations with a lot of Christmas music.
I used to work retail, and the first
So you were
year,
out the first week.
yeah, when the first year, because I played year one. I just found out about it and was working retail at the time, so I was out immediately. But as soon as I got out of it, I've finished it 4 or 5 times because I don't celebrate Christmas, so I don't have a lot of reason to be in places where like Christmas is being celebrated.
Right.
So I tend to avoid malls and shit during this season. I try and get all like my Hanukkah shopping done in advance of the break. So yeah, I think it's fair to say that we are all also dorking out on the Little Drummer Boy challenge.
We are. Yeah.
I also dorked out a little bit on the West Side Hanukkah story. If not seen that yet, that is a really fun thing on, I guess, YouTube that's going around.
I will look that up because
Yeah, me too. West
like
Side.
it's West Side Hanukkah story.
West Side Hanukkah story. They
All right.
basically took songs from West Side Story and
Okay.
made it a Hanukkah theme. It's really great. And if you continue to the end, they sort of talk about their program because I guess they've done other videos and stuff. I'd never seen them before, but it's an a cappella men's group, and it's worth the 5 minutes of your time. It's a lot of fun and it's really well done.
I'll check it out.
Yeah. I also wanted to call out that the opening credits scene for Hawkeye was straight fire. And the music in that was awesome.
Yeah, I agree. And
Yeah,
I
can't
really
remember
love
what it
the young gal who plays Kate
Haley
Bishop.
Steinfeld.
Haley Steinfeld. I think she's terrific.
Mhm.
She's
She
got
was
a
in
great.
True Grit, right? Was she in the True
Yeah.
Grit? remake?
Yes. Yeah.
That's
Oh.
She also plays Emily Dickinson in the Dickinson TV show.
She's got a really great delivery for that Marvel quip.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
She's
think she and
quippy.
Tom Holland, like she's quippy.
yeah.
She's got that nice quip.
I will
Yeah.
say one of the things I'm enjoying about Hawkeye too is her story and her mother and all this stuff. I do not know where this is going, and I'm not sure, and maybe the lines are really blurry on who's a good person and who's not within that family as well. So I'm enjoying seeing where that goes because I don't know right away how it's going to go, and
I don't either. There's a part of me that thinks her mom's fiance, the low rent Paul F. Tompkins.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Like, is he a red herring or is he
Yeah.
actually a villain? There's gonna be a showdown. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I'm
I
curious.
got some real strong feelings about that character that I want to share, but I'm holding out with respect to Curtis.
That's right.
Yeah. And we'll see. I don't know where the story's going yet, and that makes me happy.
Yeah.
I also kind of like that it is kind of a traditional Marvel story that we haven't seen a lot in their TV shows, but with, I don't know, like, I don't even know how to describe it really. It feels very traditionally Marvel. It's just these heroes doing, fighting some bad guys, and they're not trying to do anything with the genre or anything like that, but they're just doing it so well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like it. All right.
Can I just shout out really quickly, not a Marvel show, but last night's episode or Sunday's episode of Succession. Directed by Lorene Scafaria. I think that's her last name. She's Bo Burnham's girlfriend, and who also directed Hustlers. But it was just like, it was such a good episode, and it was sad, Kendall.
It was sad, Kendall. It was such a great episode.
Over a desk.
I was gonna say, Tom, who thinks he's not gonna go to jail anymore, and just going in and flipping some desks, and then telling everybody at the party, "I'm not going to jail."
Right, and then saying, "I did the wrong drugs in the wrong order."
Yeah.
It was, these last two episodes of Succession are like two classics, two all-time greats.
Succession is a TV show that has no right being as good as it is.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like one of the most well-written shows I have ever watched.
And they get improv takes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
yeah,
that's
a lot of it is improv.
I can see Kieran Culkin being amazing at that.
Right. Well, and everybody does improv except Kendall, because he just locks himself.
He's like a super method actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very serious method guy. Yeah. He
God,
did
I
excellent
hate those
work
types.
though. That was oh, you would hate this guy. I read like a whole profile on him.
I don't dig with those dice.
No.
Jeremy Strong.
Just let me riff.
Right.
Yeah.
They cut whenever, and like, yeah. No.
So catch up on Succession. It's great.
It's terrific. It's just a fun show. I'm done, Dorking. Are you done, Dorking?
Yes.
All right. Let's call it. You should follow this show and tell your friends if you like it. Go also check out Curtis's blog, 12th Life, 12thlife.com. He's always got some great stuff going on there, and he's been very honest with the Seahawks this season. It ain't just like, it's not just a homer block. Yeah. All right. So go check that out. Follow us, like us, share us, all that good stuff. Once again, my name is Daniel. For Allanah, Curtis, Millie, and the rest of 12s, saying goodbye and go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.